The mining station floated quietly in the darkness between planets. Captain Hyun-woo walked through the metal halls, checking on his crew. They were all young people, most of them fresh from school on Earth. They came here to mine rocks and metals from the asteroid belt. It was not exciting work, but it paid well. The station was home to 200 people. They worked in shifts, cutting rocks apart with plasma tools and loading metals into cargo ships. Hyun-woo was only 28, but he was the oldest person on the station. Most of his crew were in their early 20s. They were engineers, technicians, and pilots who wanted to see Space. Yoon sat at her desk in the communications room. She was 23 and had been working on the station for 2 years. Her job was to talk to cargo ships and send reports. Back to Earth, it was usually quiet work. Ships would call in, dock, load up with metals, and leave. Nothing exciting ever happened. That changed on a Tuesday morning. Yoon was drinking coffee when her computer started beeping. An emergency signal was coming through. She put on her headset and listened. The sound was broken and full of static, but she could hear voices, human voices. They sounded scared. Hello? Can anyone hear us? This is Colony Ship Meridian on planet Arcturus 7. We are under attack. Repeat, we are under attack. Unknown alien ships are bombing our cities. They have weapons we have never seen before. Our defense systems are not working. The voice cut out for a moment. Diane turned up the volume and tried to clean up the signal. When it came back, she could hear explosions in the background. They call themselves the Valdari Empire. They say, humans are too dangerous to live. They are killing everyone. Men, women, children. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need help. We have 50,000 people here. Most of them are hiding underground now. Dayun's hands shook as she recorded the message. This was not a drill. Real people were dying. The voice changed. Now it was a child speaking. A little girl, maybe 8 years old. Please, someone help us. The bad aliens hurt my mommy. They burned down our school. We are hiding in the dark and we are scared. Please come help us. The signal went to static and then nothing. Dae-Yun ran to find Captain Hyun-woo. She found him in the main work area, watching a team cut apart a large asteroid. When he saw her face, he knew something was wrong. Captain, we just got an emergency call from Arcturus 7. Human colonists are under attack by aliens called the Valdari. Hyun-woo took the recording back to his office and played it 3 times. Each time, the child's voice asking for help made him feel sick. He called a meeting of his senior staff. Tae-Min was the chief engineer. He was 25 and very smart, with machines. So Young was the head technician, only 22, but she knew more about mining equipment than people twice her age. Jun-ho was the lead pilot, 24 years old, and the best ship handler on the station. How far is Arcturus 7? Han-woo asked. Jin-ho checked his star charts. 3 months travel if we push our ships hard. But Captain, we are not a military unit. We are miners. We have cargo ships and workboats, not warships. How many people do we have who can fight? Hyun-woo asked. Fight? Tae-min looked confused. Captain, none of us are soldiers. We are engineers and technicians. We know how to cut rocks, not fight aliens. Hyun-woo played the recording again. When the little girl's voice asked for help, the room went quiet. That could be any of our families, Hyun-woo said. If aliens attacked Earth, would we want other humans to help us? So Young spoke up. Captain, what if we call Earth? They have real warships and soldiers. Earth is 6 months away, Yin said. By the time help arrives from Earth, everyone on Arcturus 7 will be dead. Hyun-woo looked at his young crew. They was scared, but he could see something else in their eyes. They wanted to help. These were good people who joined the mining station to build a better future. Now other humans needed them. We are the only humans close enough to help, Hyun-woo said. I will not order anyone to come with me. This is dangerous. We might die. But I am going to Arcturus 7. The room was quiet for a long moment. Then Tae-min stood up. I will come with you, Captain. Maybe we can turn our mining tools into weapons. So Young stood up next. Our explosives might work against alien ships. One by one, the senior staff agreed to go. Then word spread through the station. Within 2 hours, every single person on the mining station had volunteered to help rescue the colonists. Hyunwoo was proud of his crew, but he was also scared. They were not soldiers. They were young people who worked with rocks and metals. How could they fight an alien empire? Diane kept trying to contact Arcturus 7, but there was no answer. She did pick up other signals, though. Emergency calls from 2 other human colonies. Both had been attacked by the Valdari. Both had gone silent. The aliens are not just attacking one colony, she told Hyunwoo. They are attacking all human settlements in this part of space. That night, Hyunwoo could not sleep. He walked through the station and saw his crew working. Taemin and his engineers were taking apart plasma cutters and studying how they worked. So Young was checking their explosives and making lists of what they had. Gunho was looking at star charts, planning the fastest route to Arcturus-7. Everyone was scared, but no one was giving up. They were going to try to save people they had never met, just because those people were human like them. Wu thought about the little girl's voice on the recording. Somewhere out there, she was hiding in the dark, hoping someone would come to help her. He made a promise to himself that he would try to keep her safe, even if it cost him his life. The next morning, the mining station began to move. 200 young people who had come to space to dig rocks were now heading toward the biggest fight of their lives. They had no idea that this one decision would change the galaxy forever. As they traveled toward Arcturus 7, more emergency signals came in. The Valdari were not just attacking human colonies, they were wiping them out completely. Men, women, children, all killed because the aliens thought humans were too dangerous to be allowed to spread through space. Hyunwoo looked at his young crew and almost laughed. Too dangerous? These were kids who barely knew how to use their mining tools. As weapons, how dangerous could they be? He would find out soon enough. They all would. The mining station buzzed with activity as the crew prepared for war. Taemin stood in the main workshop, surrounded by pieces of mining equipment. He held a plasma cutter in his hands, turning it over and studying every part. This cuts through solid rock like butter, he said to his team of engineers. If it can cut rock, it can cut alien ships. So Young worked at the next table. She had mining explosives spread out in front of her. The charges were designed to break apart asteroids, but she was thinking about other uses. These have enough power to blow a hole in a mountain, she told her technicians. We just need to figure out how to aim them at moving targets. Across the workshop, Jun-ho and his pilots were looking at ship designs on computer screens. The mining station had 12 cargo ships and 20 smaller workboats. None of them were built for fighting, but Jun-ho had ideas. We strip out everything we do not need, he explained. Storage areas, comfortable seats, fancy computers. We use that space for weapons and armor. Eunji, the medical officer, was only 24, but she ran the best medical bay in the outer colonies. She knew that if they were going to fight aliens, people would get hurt. She began turning her small medical center into a trauma hospital. We need more beds, more surgical tools, more blood for transfusions, she told her medical team. And we need to learn how to treat injuries we have never seen before. The work went on day and night. Everyone had a job to do. Even the youngest crew members, barely 20 years old, worked to turn their peaceful mining station into a war machine. Tae-min made the first breakthrough with the plasma cutters. He found a way to focus the beam tighter and make it reach farther. Instead of cutting rocks up close, the modified cutters could slice through metal from a distance. Look at this, he showed Captain Hyunwoo. He aimed a modified cutter at a piece of asteroid metal 50 meters away. The purple beam shot out and cut the metal in half like paper. How many of these can we make? Hyunwoo asked. We have 40 plasma cutters on the station. I can modify all of them in 3 days. So Young had her own success with the explosives. Mining charges were meant to blow up in all directions, but she figured out how to make them explode in one direction only. The result was like a giant bullet that could punch through thick armor. We can load these into cargo containers and shoot them from our ships, she explained. Each charge has enough power to destroy a small building. Jinho worked with his pilots to plan attack strategies. Mining ships were slow and not very maneuverable, but they were tough. They were built to work in asteroid fields where rocks could hit them from any direction. We cannot outrun alien fighters, Jinho said. But we can take more damage than they expect. And if we can get close enough to use our new weapons, we can hurt them badly. The crew worked together like they never had before. Engineers helped pilots understand the new weapons. Technicians showed medical staff how to use mining tools as emergency surgical equipment. Everyone taught everyone else what they knew. Wu Jin was one of the youngest pilots on the station, only 21 years old. He came up with the idea of using the gravity manipulators that help them catch asteroids. What if we use these to grab enemy ships instead of rocks? He asked Jun-Ho. Jun-Ho thought about it. The gravity manipulators were powerful enough to pull in asteroids weighing thousands of tons. An alien fighter would be much smaller. That could work, Jun-Ho said. We grab their ship, pull it in close, and then hit it with everything we have. The Rim was a communications specialist who worked with Do-Yun. She was only 22, but she had an idea that impressed everyone. What if we link all our ships together with communication systems, she suggested. That way, one person could coordinate the weapons on all 12 cargo ships at once. It was a smart idea. Instead of having 12 ships fighting separately, they could fight as one big unit. The Rum began working on the communication links that would make it possible. As the days passed, more emergency signals came from human colonies. The Valdari were moving fast, attacking settlement after settlement. Each message was worse than the last. They are not taking prisoners, Dayan reported after listening to the latest transmission. They kill everyone and then destroy the buildings. They want to erase all signs that humans were ever there. The crew worked harder. They knew that time was running out for the people on Arcturus-7. Min-Ho was a technician who specialized in sensors and scanning equipment. He had an important discovery while working on the ship's detection systems. I think I found a weakness in alien technology, he told Captain Hyan-Woo. Look at these scans of their ships from the emergency transmissions. The scans showed that Valdari ships had powerful energy shields, but Minho noticed something strange. Their shields stop energy weapons like lasers and plasma, but I do not think they are designed to stop solid objects moving very fast. Hyan-Woo looked at the data. You mean like chunks of metal? Exactly. We could use our mining equipment to throw rocks at them. Really fast rocks. It was a simple idea, but it might work. Mining ships had powerful engines designed to push heavy cargo. They could accelerate pieces of metal to incredible speeds. At those speeds, even a small rock would hit like a bomb. The crew began collecting ammunition. They cut up asteroids into chunks the perfect size for throwing at enemy ships. Each chunk was dense metal that would be like a bullet the size of a car. Dong Hyan worked in demolitions. He was 23 and knew more about explosives than anyone on the station. He had an idea that scared even him. What if we turn an entire cargo ship into a bomb? He asked So Young. That would be suicide, she replied. Not if we do it right. We fill a ship with our biggest explosives, set it on automatic pilot, and crash it into the biggest enemy ship we can find. It was a crazy idea, but it might be their best weapon against a large alien warship. They began preparing one of their older cargo ships as a flying bomb. As they got closer to Arcturus-7, the crew began to understand what they were really doing. They were not just trying to save some colonists. They were about to fight aliens who had already destroyed multiple human settlements. Are we really going to do this? Asked Jinwoo, one of the youngest engineers. He was only 19. We have to, replied Su Jin, a 20-year-old pilot. If we do not try, who will? Captain Hin-Woo gathered the entire crew for a final meeting. Before they reached Arcturus-7, we are not soldiers, he told them. We are miners and engineers and technicians. But we are also human beings, and human beings help each other. He looked at the young faces around him. They were scared, but they were determined. The aliens think humans are dangerous, Hyung-woo continued. Let us show them they are right. The crew cheered. They had spent weeks turning their mining tools into weapons. Now it was time to find out if their improvised arsenal could stand up to an alien empire. As the mining station approached the edge of Valdari space, everyone knew their lives were about to change forever. They just did not know how much. The human ships moved through space toward Arcturus 7. They had been traveling for 2 months, and everyone was nervous. Their mining vessels looked strange now, covered with new weapons and armor plates. What had been peaceful cargo ships were now makeshift warships. Captain Hyun-woo stood on the bridge of the lead ship, watching the stars. Daeun worked at her communication station, listening for any signals from the Arcturus 7 colony. For weeks, there had been nothing but silence. Captain, Daeun said suddenly, I'm picking up something. Not from the colony, these are alien signals. Hyun-woo moved to her station. What kind of signals? Military communications? Multiple. Ships. They are speaking in the Valdari language, but our computers are starting to translate some words. Jeon-ho joined them at the communication station. How many ships? Daeun listened to her headset and checked her screens. At least 6, maybe more. They are spread out in a search pattern. They are looking for us, Hyun-woo realized. Someone told them we were coming. Far away, Admiral Veltar sat on the bridge of his destroyer. He was a veteran Valdari military officer who had fought in dozens of battles. His ship was one of the most advanced in the Valdari fleet, with weapons that could destroy entire cities. Sir, his communication officer reported, we have detected the human ships. 12 cargo vessels and several smaller craft. They appear to be mining ships, not military vessels. Veltar was surprised. Mining ships? What are humans doing sending mining ships to a battle zone? Perhaps they are trying to evacuate survivors from the colony, suggested his weapons officer. Veltar laughed. Miners against the Valdari Third Fleet? This will be over quickly. Move to intercept. We will destroy them before they can reach the planet. Back on the human ships, alarms began to sound. Woo Jin was piloting one of the smaller vessels when his screens lit up with contacts. Captain, we have 6 alien ships moving toward us. They will be in weapons range in 20 minutes. Hyun-woo felt his stomach drop. Their improvised weapons had never been tested in real combat. They were about to find out if weeks of work would keep them alive. All ships, battle positions, he ordered. Remember what we practiced. Stay close together and watch for my signal. The Valdari ships approached fast. They were sleek and deadly, with energy weapons that glowed with blue light. Compared to the rough, industrial-looking human ships, they seemed like works of art. Admiral Veltar opened a communication channel to the human fleet. Human vessels, this is Admiral Veltar of the Valdari Empire. You are in restricted space. Surrender immediately or be destroyed. Captain Hyun-woo responded. Admiral, we are here to rescue human civilians from Arcturus 7. We do not want to fight you. There are no human civilians to rescue, Veltar replied coldly. They have all been eliminated. Your species is too dangerous to be allowed to spread through the galaxy. Now surrender. No, Hyun-woo said simply. Veltar shook his head in disbelief. Humans were supposed to be a young, primitive species. How could they be foolish enough to fight the Valdari Empire? Destroy them, he ordered. The first Valdari ship opened fire with blue energy beams. The weapons hit the lead human cargo ship, but the thick armor plating held. Sparks flew and alarms sounded, but the ship kept moving. That should have destroyed them, the Valdari weapons officer said, confused. Fire again, Veltar ordered, but the humans were already fighting back. Woo Jin activated his gravity manipulator and aimed it at the attacking Valdari ship. The alien vessel suddenly lurched sideways, pulled by an invisible force. What is happening? The Valdari pilot shouted as his ship was dragged off course. Woo Jin had trapped the enemy destroyer in an artificial gravity field. The alien ship fought against the pull, but it could not escape. Now! Captain Hyung-woo shouted. The Rim coordinated the attack from her communication station. All 12 human cargo ships fired their modified plasma cutters at the same time. Purple beams of energy sliced through space and hit the trapped Valdari destroyer. The alien ship's shields flickered and failed. The plasma beams cut through the hull like it was made of paper. Secondary explosions lit up the darkness as the destroyer broke apart. Admiral Veltar watched in shock as one of his best ships was destroyed in seconds. How did they do that? He demanded, but there was no time to think. The human ships were already moving again. Minho had been right about Valdari shields being weak against solid objects. The mining ships began firing chunks of metal at incredible speeds. The second Valdari ship tried to dodge, but the metal projectiles were too fast. A piece of iron the size of a car hit the alien vessel at thousands of kilometers per hour. The impact punched completely through the ship from front to back. Impossible, Veltar whispered. These are just miners. The battle turned into chaos. The Valdari ships were faster and had better weapons, but the humans fought in ways the aliens had never seen before. They used mining equipment as weapons, turned gravity manipulators into traps, and threw rocks like bullets. So Young's modified explosives proved devastating. When a Valdari fighter came too close to one of the human ships, she fired a directional mining charge at it. The explosion was so powerful it vaporized the alien craft completely. Sir, we have lost 3 ships, reported Veltar's tactical officer. These humans are not fighting like any species we have encountered before. They are improvising, Veltar realized. They are taking civilian equipment and using it as weapons. How can civilians be so effective in combat? The answer was that the humans were not really civilians anymore. Weeks of preparation had turned them into something new. They were not soldiers, but they were dangerous in their own way. Jun-ho led a group of mining ships in a coordinated attack on the largest Valdari vessel. They surrounded it and hit it from all sides with plasma cutters and metal projectiles. The alien ship's shields failed under the constant bombardment. Admiral, we must retreat, urged Veltar's second-in-command. We have underestimated these humans. Veltar was a proud warrior, but he was not stupid. His fleet was being destroyed by mining ships. It was time to leave and warn the rest of the Valdari Empire about what they were facing. All ships withdraw? He ordered. Send a priority message to High Command. Tell them the humans are not what we thought they were. The remaining Valdari ships retreated into hyperspace, leaving the humans alone among the wreckage of the battle. Captain Hyun-woo could not believe they had won. His crew of young miners had just defeated experienced alien warriors. Damage report, he called out. Minor hull damage on 3 ships, reported Tenman. No casualties. Our armor held better than expected. Eunji was disappointed that she had not needed to treat any wounded crew members. All that preparation for emergency surgery, and everyone was fine. Captain, I am intercepting alien communications, Yoon announced. The surviving ships are sending messages to their fleet command. They are calling for reinforcements. Hyun-woo nodded. How long before more Valdari ships arrive? Several days, maybe a week, Yoon estimated. Then we better reach Arcturus 7. Fast, Hyun-woo decided. As the human fleet continued toward the besieged colony, everyone was thinking about what had just happened. They had proven that human creativity and determination could overcome superior alien technology. But Admiral Veltar was also thinking as his damaged ship limped back to Valdari space. He was composing a message that would change how the entire galaxy viewed humanity. High Command, he dictated to his communication officer. We have engaged human forces and suffered severe losses. These are not the primitive species we believe them to be. They adapt their technology in ways we did not anticipate. They fight with no regard for conventional tactics. Request immediate reinforcement of all forces in human space, and recommend extreme caution when dealing with their species. The message that followed that battle would spread through alien communication networks across the galaxy. For the first time, Other species began to wonder if the Valdari Empire was right about humans being dangerous, but the humans did not know about any of that yet. They were focused on reaching Arcturus 7 and saving the colonists. They had no idea that their first victory had just announced to the galaxy that Earth's children were not to be underestimated. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Arcturus 7 system. What they saw made everyone stop talking. The planet was surrounded by 30 Valdari warships. The alien vessels formed a perfect blockade, making sure nothing could get to or from the planet's surface. Captain Hyun-woo stared at the tactical display on his bridge screen. Each red dot represented a Valdari ship, larger and more powerful than the ones they had fought before. His small fleet of converted mining ships looked pathetic in comparison. "Captain," Dune said quietly, "I am picking up signals from the planet's surface. There are still humans alive down there." She put the transmission through the ship's speakers. A man's voice, tired and desperate, came through the static. "This is Colony Administrator Park Jae-sung. If anyone can hear this, we have about 40,000 survivors hiding in the underground mining tunnels. The Valdari have been hunting us for 3 months. They kill anyone they find on the surface. We are running out of food and medicine. Please, if there is anyone out there, we need help." The bridge went silent. 40,000 people were trapped on the planet, and 30 enemy warships stood between the rescue fleet and the surface. "Captain," Jin-ho said from the pilot station, "this is suicide. We have 12 ships, they have 30. And theirs are military vessels, not converted cargo haulers." Han-woo looked around the bridge at his young crew. Woo-jin was only 21, the Rim was 22. Most of his people were barely out of school. What right did he have to ask them to die in a hopeless battle? But then he remembered the child's voice from the first distress call. That little girl was probably down on the planet somewhere, hiding in the dark, hoping someone would come to save her. "We came here to rescue people," Hyun-woo said. "I will not abandon them now, but I will not order anyone to follow me. Anyone who wants to leave can take one of the small ships and head back to Earth." Nobody moved, nobody spoke. Then Woo-jin stood up from his pilot seat. "Captain, we are all staying. We did not come this far to give up now." One by one, the other crew members nodded their agreement. They were scared, but they were not leaving. "Then we go through the blockade," Hyun-woo decided. "Taemin, what? Do we know about those ships?" The chief engineer had been studying the alien vessels through their long-range sensors. "They are bigger than the ships we fought before. Much more armor and weapons. But Captain, I think, was right about their shields." Minho joined the discussion. "All Valdari technology seems to be based on energy weapons and energy defenses. Their shields will stop lasers and plasma beams, but I do not think they expect kinetic attacks." "You mean throwing rocks at them?" So Young said. "Very fast rocks." Minho confirmed. Hyun-woo studied the planet on his screen. Arcturus 7 had rings of ice and rock around it like a smaller version of Saturn. Those rings might be the key to their survival. "Jun-ho, can we hide in those planetary rings?" The chief pilot examined the navigation data. "Yes, Captain. The rings are full of ice chunks and metal debris. Our ships are small enough to hide among them. The Valdari ships are too big to follow us safely through the rings." "Then that is our plan," Hyun-woo announced. "We go through the rings, avoiding the blockade, and get to the planet's surface." It sounded simple, but it was incredibly dangerous. Navigating through planetary rings required precision flying. One mistake, and they would crash into a chunk of ice moving at thousands of kilometers per hour. The human fleet moved carefully toward the rings. The Valdari ships detected them immediately, but Admiral Kelvash, the commander of the blockade fleet, was not worried. 12 small ships against my 30 destroyers, he said to his bridge crew. "This will be target practice." But as the human ships approached the rings, something strange happened. Instead of attacking the blockade directly, they disappeared into the maze of ice and rock. "Sir, we have lost contact with the human vessels," reported the Valdari sensor. "Officer, find them," Kelvash ordered. "We cannot, sir." The rings are interfering with our sensors. There is too much debris. Kelvash had never fought humans before, but he had heard about Admiral Veltar's defeat. These humans used unconventional tactics. They did not fight the way other species fought. Inside the rings, the human ships moved like ghosts. Junho led the way, using mining techniques to navigate through the debris field. Behind him, the other ships followed in single file, dodging ice chunks and metal fragments. "This is incredible," whispered Sujin, one of the younger pilots. She was flying through a field of ice crystals that sparkled like diamonds in the starlight, but there was no time to enjoy the beauty. The Valdari were trying to track them, sending probe ships into the rings. Wujin's ship was nearly spotted by an alien patrol, but he hid behind a large asteroid until it passed Dot. As they got closer to the planet, Minho made an important discovery. "Captain, I have been studying the Valdari ship designs. Their shields are definitely weak against solid objects, but I found something else. The way their energy systems work, if we hit them with fast-moving metal at just the right spot, we might cause their power systems to overload." "What kind of metal?" asked So Young. "Iron. Dense iron, moving at maximum velocity. If we can hit their main power core, it should cause a chain reaction." Hyun Woo smiled grimly. "So we are back to throwing rocks, just more precisely this time." The human fleet emerged from the rings on the dark side of the planet, away from most of the Valdari ships. But they were not undetected. 3 enemy destroyers moved to intercept them. "All ships, attack formation," Hyun-woo ordered. What happened next shocked the Valdari commanders. The human ships did not try to run or hide. Instead, they accelerated directly toward the enemy vessels, firing chunks of iron ore like bullets. From railguns, the first Valdari destroyer tried to dodge, but the metal projectiles were too fast and too many. Several chunks hit the ship's shield generators, causing them to fail. More projectiles punched through the hull and hit the main power core. The alien ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light. "Impossible," breathed Admiral Kelvash, watching from his command ship. "How can civilians destroy military vessels so easily?" The second Valdari destroyer fired its energy weapons at the approaching human ships. The beams hit the converted cargo haulers, but the thick armor plating held. The human ships kept coming, firing more metal projectiles. The Rum coordinated the attack from her communication station, linking all 12 ships into one targeting system. When she gave the signal, every human vessel fired at the same Valdari ship simultaneously. The alien destroyer vanished in a cloud of debris and expanding gas. The third Valdari ship tried to retreat, but Dong Hyen had prepared a special surprise. He fired one of So Young's modified mining charges, but this one was different. It was programmed to explode right next to the enemy ship, not inside it. The explosion created an electromagnetic pulse that disabled the Valdari vessel's electronics. The alien ship drifted helplessly as the human fleet passed by. "Sir, 3 of our ships have been destroyed or disabled," reported Kelvash's tactical officer, "by 12 mining vessels." Kelvash could not understand what he was seeing. These humans fought like no species he had ever encountered. They used industrial equipment as weapons, turned their cargo ships into warships, and threw chunks of metal like they were missiles. "All ships, converge on the human fleet," he ordered. "Destroy them before they reach the planet." But the humans were already entering the planet's atmosphere. The Valdari ships could not follow them without risking damage. From atmospheric friction. As the human ships descended toward the planet's surface, they could see the devastation below. Cities were in ruins, forests were burned. The Valdari had been thorough in their destruction. "Captain, I am picking up the signal from the survivors," De-Yun announced. "They are in underground tunnels about 50 kilometers from our landing." Sight. Haya-Wu felt a moment of hope. They had made it through the blockade. Now they just had to rescue 40,000 people and somehow get them safely off the planet. "Sir," his tactical officer interrupted, "the Valdari are landing troops. Ground forces are moving toward the survivor location." The hope faded. The space battle was over, but the real fight was just beginning. On the ground, human miners would face Valdari soldiers in close combat. As the human ships landed on Arcturus 7, everyone knew they were walking into a trap. The Valdari had 30 ships in orbit and thousands of troops on the ground. The human rescue mission was outnumbered and outgunned, but they had proven something important in the space battle. Human ingenuity and determination could overcome superior alien technology. The question now was whether that would be enough to save 40,000 lives. Captain Haiyan Wu looked at his young crew as they prepared to leave their ships and enter the war zone. Remember, he told them, we are not just fighting for the colonists. We are fighting for the future of humanity. If we fail here, the Valdari will think humans are easy prey. If we succeed, the galaxy will know that Earth's children are not to be underestimated. The crew nodded grimly and checked their improvised weapons one last time. Then they stepped out onto the surface of Arcturus 7, ready to show the Valdari Empire what humans could do when they were truly fighting for their lives. The surface of Arcturus 7 looked like a graveyard. Sun-Ho led the first group of humans off their landing ships and onto the broken ground. He was 25 years old and had been a mining supervisor before this war started. Now he carried a modified plasma cutter and led 20 other young people into battle. The air smelled like smoke and death. In the distance, they could see the ruins of what had been New Sol, the main human city on the planet. The buildings were black skeletons against the orange sky. Nothing moved except the wind blowing ash across the empty streets. "Stay together," Sun-Ho whispered to his team. "The Valdari have sensors that can detect us from far away." P1 was the youngest member of the group at 19 years old. Before the war, she had operated scanning equipment for the mining company. Now she used those same sensors to track alien movements through the rubble. "I have contacts," she said quietly, checking her handheld scanner. 6 Valdari soldiers about 2 kilometers ahead. They are moving toward the tunnel entrance where the survivors are hiding. Sun-Ho felt his stomach tighten. If the aliens found the tunnel entrance, 40,000 humans would die. "We have to stop them," he decided. The group moved carefully through the destroyed city. They passed burned-out houses and melted vehicles. Sometimes they found human bodies that the Valdari had left behind. Each time, the young miners felt their anger grow stronger. Dong Haiyan was a demolitions expert who had joined Sun-Ho's team. He was 23 and knew everything about explosives. As they moved through the city, he placed small charges in strategic locations. "If we need to retreat quickly, these will slow down anyone following us," he explained. The Valdari soldiers they were tracking were tall, thin aliens with purple skin and 4 arms. They carried energy weapons that could melt through solid rock. Their armor was advanced technology that made them almost invisible to normal sensors, but P1's mining sensors worked differently. They were designed to find metal and minerals underground, and they could detect the alien armor even when it was trying to hide. "They stopped moving," she reported. "I think they found something." Sun-Ho led his team to a hill overlooking the area where the aliens had stopped. Through his scope, he could see the Valdari soldiers standing around a hole in the ground. It was an air vent for the underground tunnel system where the human survivors were hiding. One of the alien soldiers was speaking into a communication device. Even from a distance, Sun-Ho could guess what he was saying. He was calling for reinforcements to help dig out the humans. "We have to attack now," Sun-Ho decided, "before more of them arrive." The mining team spread out around the alien position. They had practiced this kind of attack during their long journey to Arcturus 7, but this was the first time they would try it against real enemies. One used her scanner to track the exact position of each Valdari soldier. Dong Haiyan prepared his explosives. The others checked their modified plasma cutters and makeshift weapons. "On my signal," Sun-Ho whispered into his radio. The attack began with Dong Haiyan's explosives. He had planted charges around the alien position during the night, and now he triggered them all at once. The ground erupted in fire and smoke, throwing the Valdari soldiers into confusion. Before the aliens could react, the human team opened fire with their plasma cutters. The purple beams sliced through the air and hit the enemy soldiers. The alien armor was strong, but it could not stop weapons designed to cut through solid rock. 3 Valdari soldiers died in the first few seconds. The other 3 tried to fight back, but they were already wounded and disoriented from the explosions. The battle was over in less than a minute. 6 alien soldiers who had been hunting human civilians were dead, but Sung-ho knew this was just the beginning. G1, scan for more contacts, he ordered. The scanner showed dozens of red dots moving toward their position. The Valdari had heard the fighting and were sending reinforcements. 30 soldiers, maybe more, Ru-1 reported. They will be here in 10 minutes, Sung-ho made a quick decision. We go underground, find the survivors, and help them prepare for a siege. The team climbed down through the air vent into the tunnel system below. The tunnels were dark and cramped, but they led to a large underground chamber where the human colonists were hiding. What Sung-ho saw there broke his heart. Thousands of people were crowded into a space meant for mining equipment. Families huddled together in the darkness. Children cried softly while their parents tried to comfort them. An older man approached Sung-ho. He looked tired and thin, like he had not eaten properly in weeks. "Are you from Earth?" the man asked hopefully. "We are." "From a mining station?" Sung-ho replied. "We came as soon as we heard your distress call." "How many ships do you have? How many soldiers?" Sung-ho did not want to disappoint the man, but he had to tell the truth. "We have 12 cargo ships and about 200 people. We are not soldiers. We are miners and engineers." The man's face fell. 200 people? Against the entire Valdari fleet? "We destroyed 3 of their ships getting here," Sung-ho said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "And we will get you all off this planet safely." But even as he said it, he wondered if it was possible. How could 200 young miners evacuate 40,000 colonists while fighting thousands of alien soldiers? Hana was the medical officer who had come down with Sung-ho's team. She was 24 years old and had trained to treat mining. Injuries, not war wounds. But when she saw the condition of the colonists, she went to work immediately. Many people were sick from living underground for months. Children were malnourished. Adults had injuries that had not healed properly. Hana set up a medical station and began treating as many people as she could. While she worked, she listened to the colonists' stories. What she heard made her understand why the Valdari were so determined to wipe out humanity. "They said we were too dangerous to live," one woman told her. "They said their scientists had studied human behavior and decided we would eventually threaten their empire." "But we are just farmers and miners," Hana replied. "How could we threaten an entire galactic empire?" An older man answered her. "Because we adapt, because we learn, because we never give up." He pointed to the tunnel system around them. "We built all this in 3 months. When the attack started, we had nowhere to hide. So we dug tunnels with mining equipment. We created an underground city with air circulation, water systems, and food storage. We took a hole in the ground and made it livable for 40,000 people." Hana began to understand. The Valdari were not afraid of human weapons or human armies. They were afraid of human creativity and determination. Above ground, more Valdari forces were arriving. Guan's scanner showed hundreds of alien soldiers surrounding the tunnel entrances. They were bringing heavy equipment to dig out the humans. Captain Hianhua contacted Sung-ho by radio. "We are preparing the ships for evacuation, but we can only take about 5,000 people at a time. It will take multiple trips to get everyone off the planet." "The Valdari will not give us time for multiple trips," Sung-ho replied. "They are preparing to attack the tunnels." As if to prove his point, the ground above them shook from explosions. The aliens were trying to collapse the tunnel system and bury the humans alive, but the colonists had prepared for this too. The tunnels were reinforced with materials taken from their destroyed city. They had multiple escape routes and backup air systems. The Valdari attack only succeeded in blocking some of the entrances. "This is incredible," Dong Hyen said, looking at the tunnel construction. "These people built better fortifications in 3 months than most military engineers could design in a year." That gave Sung-ho an idea. What if we do not try to evacuate everyone at once? What if we fight back? Fight back? Hana looked at him in disbelief. Against thousands of alien soldiers? Not in open battle, Sunho explained. Guerrilla warfare, hit-and-run attacks. Use the tunnel system to move around without being detected. It was a crazy plan, but it might work. The humans knew the tunnel system better than the aliens. They could strike at Valdari forces and then disappear underground before the enemy could respond. One was excited by the possibility my scanners can track alien movements on the surface. We could coordinate attacks from multiple directions. Donghain was already thinking about tactics. We could use mining charges to collapse buildings on top of enemy troops, or create sinkholes to trap their vehicles. Even Hana began to see the possibilities. If we can capture alien medical supplies, I can treat more of the wounded colonists. Suho looked around at the thousands of people hiding in the tunnels. Many of them were young, like his own team. They had come to Arcturus 7 to build a new life, and the aliens had tried to destroy that dream. We are not going to hide down here forever, he announced to the colonists. We are going to fight back. And we are going to win. The colonists looked at him with a mixture of hope and fear. They were not soldiers, but they were survivors. They had already proven they could adapt to impossible circumstances. As the Valdari forces prepared for their final assault on the tunnel system, the humans were preparing their own surprise. 200 miners and 40,000 colonists were about to show the galaxy what Earth's children could accomplish when they refused to give up. The Jinwoo was only 19 years old, but his hands worked like those of an experienced weapons engineer. He sat in one of the underground chambers, surrounded by pieces of captured Valdari equipment. Alien plasma rifles lay in pieces around him. As he studied how they worked, "These energy systems are more advanced than anything we have," he said to his small team of engineers. "But they are built for Valdari physiology, not human." Sujin, who was 20 and had been studying mechanical engineering before joining the mining station, leaned over his shoulder. "Can we modify them?" "Better than that," Jinwoo said with excitement. "I can combine their energy technology with our kinetic principles. Look at this." He had taken apart a Valdari plasma rifle and connected it to a human-made projectile launcher. The result was a weapon that could fire both energy beams and solid projectiles at the same time. "The aliens expect either energy weapons or kinetic weapons," Jinwoo explained. "They do not expect both from the same gun." Word of Jinwoo's hybrid weapons spread quickly through the underground tunnels. Soon, other young engineers were bringing him captured alien equipment to modify. Each piece of Valdari technology became the basis for a new human weapon. Meanwhile, Sujin was leading her own team through the tunnel system. Her squad was made up of the youngest colonists and miners, most of them between 18 and 22 years old. The older adults thought they were too young to fight, but Sujin had proven them wrong. "Age does not matter in war," she told her team as they prepared for another raid. "What matters is that we are smart enough to think differently than the enemy expects." Her squad specialized in underground warfare. They used mining techniques to dig new tunnels that connected to Valdari positions on the surface. They would emerge behind enemy lines, attack with improvised weapons, and disappear back underground before the aliens could respond. The Valdari commanders were becoming frustrated. They had superior technology and more soldiers, but they could not pin down the human fighters. Every time they thought they had found the main tunnel entrance, the humans would attack from a completely different direction. Commander Zelkris was in charge of the ground assault on the human positions. He was an experienced warrior who had conquered 12 different planets for the Valdari Empire. But he had never fought humans before, and their tactics confused him. "Sir, we have lost another patrol," his lieutenant reported. "The humans attacked from underground, destroyed our equipment, and vanished before we could respond." Zelkris studied the tactical display on his command screen. Red dots showed the locations of confirmed human attacks. They were scattered all across the city with no apparent pattern. "How many humans are we fighting?" he asked. Intelligence estimates 200 miners plus whatever colonists are capable of combat. Maybe 500 fighters total. And we have 3,000 soldiers, Zelkris said, so why are we losing? The answer came from an unexpected source. Yujin was a 22-year-old pilot who had volunteered to help with ground operations. She had crashed her damaged mining ship directly into a Valdari command center, but not before using the ship's industrial fabricators to create something the aliens had never seen before. Hundreds of tiny drones, each no bigger than a person's hand, had spread throughout the Valdari base before anyone realized what they were. The drones carried cameras and communication equipment, giving the humans complete intelligence about enemy positions and plans. We can see everything they do, Yujin explained to Captain Hyan Wu over the radio. Their troop movements, their supply routes, their weak points, they have better weapons, but we have better information. The intelligence advantage allowed the humans to plan precise attacks. They knew exactly when Valdari patrols would be in specific locations. They could predict when supply convoys would travel certain routes. They turned the war into a series of ambush that the aliens could not counter. Byung-ho was a 23-year-old who had been a mining foreman before the war. Now he coordinated attacks from multiple directions, using the tunnel system like a military commander would use roads and highways. Team 3, the enemy convoy will reach checkpoint 7 in 10 minutes, he radioed to one of the attack squads. Team 5, move to position behind the Valdari communications array. Team 1, prepare to collapse tunnel section 4 if the enemy tries to follow our retreat routes. The young human fighters moved through the tunnels like ghosts. They struck at enemy positions with devastating effect and then vanished before reinforcements could arrive. The Valdari soldiers began to fear the darkness underground, never knowing where the next attack would come from, but the most frightening moment for Commander Zelkris came when he realized what the human children were really capable of. Insu was 21 years old and had been studying computer science before joining the mining station. When he got his hands on a Valdari command terminal, he did not just gather intelligence from it. He hacked into the entire alien communication network. Commander, Insu called Captain Hyan Wu on a secure channel. I have access to their military databases. Do you want to know what the Valdari really think about humans? Hyan Wu listened as Insu read from classified Valdari military reports. Species assessment, humans. Threat level, maximum. Recommendation, complete extermination before species can develop advanced military capabilities. Reasoning, humans show unprecedented adaptability and innovation. War simulations indicate that within 200 years, human technology will surpass all known galactic civilizations. Immediate action required to prevent human expansion beyond Sol System. The captain felt a chill run down his spine. The Valdari were not attacking human colonies for resources or territory. They were trying to wipe out humanity because their scientists had determined that humans would eventually become the dominant species in the galaxy. There is more, Insu continued. The Valdari have been watching Earth for 50 years. They are afraid of us because we do things no other species does. We take technology from our enemies and make it better. We adapt to any environment. We never give up even when we are outnumbered and outgunned. As the ground war continued, the young human fighters proved the Valdari fears were justified. Jin Wu's hybrid weapons were more effective than anything in the alien arsenal. Su Jin's underground tactics were defeating experienced military units. Yujin's intelligence. Drones had given the humans complete control of the battlefield. Commander, Zelkris sent increasingly desperate messages to his superiors. Request immediate evacuation of ground forces. Human resistance is not following any known military doctrine. They are improvising weapons and tactics faster than we can counter them. These are not soldiers we are fighting. They are innovators, with nothing to lose. But the most telling moment came when a group of Valdari soldiers captured one of the human tunnel entrances. They thought they had finally cornered some of the defenders, but what they found inside shocked them. The tunnels were not just hiding places. They were factories. The colonists had built manufacturing facilities underground, using salvaged equipment to produce weapons and supplies. Children who should have been in school were operating machinery that produced ammunition. Teenagers were designing new types of explosives. "This is not a refugee camp," one Valdari soldier reported to his commander. "This is an industrial complex. They have turned their hiding place into a weapons factory." The discovery terrified the alien leadership. Other species would have hidden and waited for rescue when faced with impossible odds. Humans had turned their underground shelter into a military-industrial center and were actively fighting back against a vastly superior enemy as the battle for Arcturus 7 continued. More Valdari commanders began to understand what their species was really facing. These were not just another primitive civilization to be conquered. These were the children of Earth, and they represented something the galaxy had never seen before. The humans were not just adapting to alien technology, they were improving it. They were not just surviving impossible odds, they were turning those odds in their favor through pure creativity and determination. Commander Zelkris sent his final message to Valdari High Command as his forces prepared to retreat from the planet. Humans are not what we thought they were. They are not conquerors or warriors. They are something far more dangerous. They are builders who never stop improving, learners who never stop adapting, and survivors who never give up. If we do not stop them now, they will reshape the entire galaxy. But it was too late to stop them. The children of Earth had already shown the galaxy what they were capable of when pushed to their limits. And this was just the beginning. News traveled fast through the galaxy's communication networks. On dozens of worlds, alien species received reports about the battle for Arcturus 7, the Valdari Empire. One of the most powerful military forces in known space was being defeated by human miners and colonists. The Altarians were a peaceful species known for their wisdom and diplomatic skills. Their council of elders gathered on their homeworld to discuss the disturbing reports. The Valdari claimed that 200 human miners destroyed half their invasion fleet. Elder Talvin said, reading from the official report, "This cannot be accurate." "The reports come from multiple sources," replied Elder Morden. Valdari military commanders intercepted communications, even neutral observers. The humans are winning. The Centaurians were a logical species that prided themselves on scientific analysis. Their research teams had been studying the conflict with growing amazement. "The human tactics make no logical sense," chief scientist Veltar reported to the Centaurian High Council. "They use mining equipment as weapons. They turn civilian infrastructure into military assets. They adapt enemy technology in ways the original designers never intended." "But it works," observed Counselor Zephyrin. "Whatever they are doing, it is devastatingly effective." Meanwhile, on Arcturus 7, the human fighters were preparing for their final assault on the Valdari Command Center. Lieutenant Byung-ho stood in the main tunnel, looking at a map of the enemy positions. After weeks of guerrilla warfare, the humans had pushed the alien forces back to a single fortified complex. "This is their last stronghold," he explained to his team leaders. "If we can take it, we control the planet." Jin Woo had been working day and night to prepare for this assault. His hybrid weapons were now being mass-produced in the underground factories. Every human fighter carried equipment that combined Earth engineering with captured Valdari technology. "Their command center has heavy shields and automated defenses," Jin Woo reported, "but I have an idea. What if we do not attack the building itself?" He showed the others a three-dimensional model of the command center on his tablet computer. "The building is strong, but it sits on foundations that go deep underground. If we use mining charges to weaken those foundations, the whole structure will collapse." Sujin studied the plan. "How do we get close enough to place the charges?" "The area around the command center is heavily guarded." "We go underneath," Young-ho answered. "We dig new tunnels that connect to the foundation level. It will take time, but it can be done." The tunneling operation began immediately, using mining Equipment designed to cut through solid rock, the humans carved new passages through the planet's crust. They worked in shifts, with some people digging while others stood guard against Valdari patrols. Dong Hyan supervised the placement of explosives. The charges had to be positioned precisely to bring down the entire command structure without damaging the tunnel system where human civilians were still hiding. "We get one chance at this," he told his demolition team. "If we miscalculate, the building might not fall completely. Then the Valdari will know where our tunnels are." "Above ground, Commander." Zelkris was growing desperate. His forces had been reduced from 3,000 soldiers to fewer than 800. The rest had been killed or wounded in ambush that seemed to come from nowhere. "Sir, we have intercepted human communications," his intelligence officer reported. "They are planning a major assault on our position." Zelkris looked at the defensive preparations around his command center. The building was protected by energy shields, automated weapons, and the best soldiers he had left. It should be able to withstand any attack the humans could mount. "Let them come," he said grimly. "We will make our final stand here." But the humans were not planning a conventional assault. While Zelkris waited for an attack from the surface, Byung-ho's teams were digging tunnels 50 meters below the command center. The breakthrough came after 3 days of continuous work. The mining teams broke through into the foundation level of the Valdari building. Dong Hyan and his explosives experts entered the foundations and began placing charges around the support pillars. "The building is heavier than I expected," Dong Hyan reported over his radio. "We need more explosives to guarantee a complete collapse." Jin Woo had an idea. "What if we use captured Valdari power cells? They have more energy than our mining charges?" It was dangerous. Valdari power cells were designed for their technology, not human explosives. But Jin Woo had been studying alien energy systems for weeks. He knew how to modify them, working by the light of portable lamps. Jin Woo connected Valdari power cells to human detonators. The hybrid explosives had more than enough power to bring down the command center. "Charges are set," Dong Hyan announced. "Everyone clear the area." The human teams withdrew through their tunnels to a safe distance. Above ground, Commander Zelkris and his soldiers had no idea what was about to happen. "Detonate," Byung-ho ordered. The explosion was unlike anything the Valdari had ever experienced. The foundation of their command center simply vanished in a blast of energy and debris. The entire building, with all its shields and weapons, collapsed into a crater that had not existed seconds before. Commander Zelkris and most of his remaining soldiers died instantly. The few survivors found themselves trapped in the rubble, their advanced weapons useless against tons of collapsed concrete and twisted metal in orbit above the planet. Admiral Kelvash watched his ground commander's signal disappear from the tactical display. "Sir, we have lost contact with the surface command," his communication officer reported. "Send a scout ship to investigate," Kelvash ordered. The scout ship's report was devastating. The Valdari command center had been completely destroyed. Scattered groups of alien soldiers were surrendering to human forces across the planet. The ground war was over and the humans had won. Kelvash had never seen anything like it. A species that had barely begun to explore space had defeated the Valdari Empire in ground combat. How was it possible? The answer came from Insu, who had been monitoring Valdari communications throughout the battle. "Admiral," he transmitted to the Valdari flagship, "this is Field Commander Insu of the Human Defense Forces. We are prepared to accept your surrender." Kelvash was so shocked that he almost laughed. "Surrender? You have a few hundred miners and some colonists. I have 30 warships in orbit." "You had 30 warships," Insu corrected. "Our intelligence indicates that half your ships are low on fuel and ammunition after months of blockade duty. Your ground forces have been eliminated, and you are facing an enemy that has proven capable of turning mining equipment into weapons that can destroy your most advanced military units." The transmission paused, then Insu continued. "Admiral, your own military reports describe humans as the most adaptable and innovative species the Valdari have encountered. We have just proven those reports correct. Do you really want to continue this war?" For the first time since the conflict began, Admiral Kalvash wondered if the Valdari had made a terrible mistake by attacking the humans. Captain Hyun-woo added his voice to the transmission. "We have captured your command databases, Admiral. We know why you attacked our colonies. Your scientists determined that humans would become a galactic superpower within 2 centuries. Your scientists were wrong," Hyun-woo continued. "It will not take 2 centuries. After this battle, every species in the galaxy will know that humans are not to be underestimated. The age of human expansion has already begun." Admiral Kalvash looked at his tactical display. On the planet below, human forces were gathering around the wreckage of the Valdari Command Center. In space, his own fleet was running low on supplies and facing an enemy that had already proven capable of impossible victories. He made the hardest decision of his military career. "All ships, prepare for withdrawal," he ordered. "Send a message to Valdari High Command. Tell them the humans are not what we thought they were." As the Valdari fleet retreated from Arcturus 7, they broadcast a warning that would spread throughout the galaxy. Avoid the Sol system, avoid human space. They are not what they appear to be. But the warning came too late. The galaxy had already learned about the battle for Arcturus 7. Other species now knew that humans could turn ordinary mining equipment into devastating weapons, transform civilian infrastructure into military assets, and defeat superior enemies. Through pure creativity and determination, the children of Earth had announced their arrival as a galactic power. And they were just getting started. 6 months after the battle for Arcturus 7, Admiral Hyun-woo stood on the bridge of the Earth defense ship Arcturus. The vessel had been built using technology captured from the Valdari, but improved with human engineering. It was faster, stronger, and more versatile than any ship in the alien fleet. Hyun-woo was no longer a mining captain. Earth's government had promoted him to admiral and given him command of humanity's first deep space military unit. His crew was made up of the same young people who had volunteered to rescue the colonists, but they were no longer miners and technicians. They had become the foundation of Earth's space navy. "Admiral, we are approaching the Galactic Council Station," reported Commander Dayun from the communication station. She wore the uniform of a naval officer now, but she still handled communications. With the same skill she had shown on the mining station, the Galactic Council was meeting for the first time in 50 years. Representatives from dozens of species were gathering to discuss the emergence of humanity as a major galactic power. For the first time, humans had been invited to participate. "Are we ready for this?" asked Captain Taman, who now served as the Admiral's chief engineer. His ships carried weapons that combined human creativity with alien technology, making them more effective than anything else in known space. "As ready as we can be," Hyun-woo replied. "The galaxy wants to meet the species that defeated the Valdari Empire. Let us show them what Earth's children are capable of." The council station was enormous, built to accommodate representatives from hundreds of different species. As the human ship approached, other vessels gave it a wide berth. Word of human military capabilities had spread throughout the galaxy. Ambassador Yoon-hee was waiting to meet with Hyun-woo when he arrived at the station. She was a diplomat from Earth who had been chosen to represent humanity at the council. She was older than most of the crew, but she understood what the young fighters had accomplished. "The other species are nervous," she told Hyun-woo as they walked through the station's corridors. "Some want to establish trade relationships with Earth, others want to form military alliances. A few are talking about containing human expansion before it threatens their own territories." They entered the main council chamber, where representatives from across the galaxy were waiting. The Altarians sat in robes of blue and silver, their wise faces showing concern. The Centaurians had brought scientific equipment to record every word of the proceedings. The vegan collective whispered among themselves in their musical language. All eyes turned to the human delegation as they took their seats. These aliens had heard stories about the battle for Arcturus 7, but most had never seen humans before. Elder Talvin of the Altarians spoke first. "We welcome the human delegation to the Galactic Council. Your species has proven itself capable of remarkable achievements in a very short time. Thank you, Ambassador Yunhee replied. Humanity is honored to join this council and looks forward to peaceful relationships with all galactic civilizations. Counselor Zephyrin of the Centaurians was more direct. Our analysis of the Arcturus 7 battle raises concerning questions. How did a species with no military experience defeat the Voldari Empire? Admiral Haiyan Wu stood to answer. We adapted. When faced with superior technology, we found ways to improve it. When outnumbered, we used tactics our enemies did not expect. When threatened with extinction, we refused to give up. But you were minors, protested a representative from the vegan collective. How did civilians become so effective in combat? We were never just minors, Haiyan Wu explained. We were engineers who solved problems. We were technicians who built things. We were young people who believed in protecting our families. When the Valdari threatened human colonies, we became whatever we needed to be. The chamber fell silent. As the aliens absorbed his words, they were beginning to understand what made humans different from other species. Ambassador Yunhee continued the explanation. Humanity does not have a warrior culture like some species. We do not have advanced technology like others. What we have is the ability to adapt, to learn, and to never give up. These qualities served us well when our survival was threatened. Chief Scientist Veltar of the Centaurians studied the data on his tablet. Our projections indicate that human technology will advance rapidly now that you have access to galactic databases. Within 50 years, human capabilities may exceed those of any known civilization. That depends on whether we are welcomed as partners or treated as threats, Ambassador. Yunhee replied carefully. The message was clear. Humanity wanted peaceful relationships with other species, but they would defend themselves if necessary. The battle for Arcturus 7 had proven what humans could accomplish when fighting for their survival. Over the following days, the Council sessions continued, trade agreements were negotiated, scientific exchange programs were established, military cooperation treaties were discussed, but beneath the diplomatic language, everyone understood the real situation. Humanity had announced itself as a galactic power. Other species would have to adjust to this new reality. Captain Dayun now led deep space exploration missions. But every ship in her fleet carried weapons that had proven devastatingly effective against the Valdari. When human vessels appeared in alien star systems, local defense forces monitored them carefully but kept their distance. The young people who had volunteered for a rescue mission had become the core of Earth's military and diplomatic presence in space. Jin Wu developed new technologies that combined human engineering with alien science. Su Jin trained other young humans in the unconventional tactics that had won the war. Yujin's intelligence techniques became standard procedure for all human operations, but the most important change was in how other species viewed humanity. Before Arcturus 7, humans had been seen as a young, primitive civilization that would eventually be absorbed into existing galactic power structures. Now they were recognized as something unprecedented, a species that could adapt to any challenge, learn from any enemy, and turn any setback into an advantage. The final council session was interrupted by an urgent communication from the edge of known space. A deep space monitoring station had detected unusual signals from beyond the galactic rim. The signals appear to be artificial, reported the station commander. We believe they represent contact from an unknown civilization. Admiral Haiyan Wu studied the data with growing interest. The signals showed advanced technology and suggested a species with capabilities that might exceed anything in the current galaxy. Distance and estimated time of arrival? He asked.